Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Rice and beans are a great beginning to many nutritious family meals. Stockpile foods for emergency situations, rice and beans are a great way to begin. We read lots of things that tell us store 30 pounds of rice per person, but how many servings do you actually get out of 30 pounds of rice? Well, if you read the nutritional information on the packaging, it will tell you that one serving of rice is 1/4 cup when it's dry. Rice expands when you prepare it, so 1/4 cup of raw rice becomes 1/2 cup of rice. There are approximately 11 servings of rice per pound, so 30 pounds of rice would give you about 330 servings of rice. That sounds like a lot of food. If you look at the serving size that most people eat, you'll discover most people don't eat 1/2 cup of cooked rice, they eat closer to 1 cup of rice. We read store 30 pounds of beans per person. How do you come to the conclusion that 30 pounds is the proper amount? If you look at how many servings are in 30 pounds of beans, you break it down into 12 servings per 1 pound. So if you look at 1 pound is 12, 30 pounds is 360. So you have a serving of beans every day, which would be a year's amount. You may not eat them every day, but at least you're going to have enough that if that is all you had, you can make it last. Beans and rice together are a great source of protein. Many countries throughout the world, beans and rice are a staple in everyday diets because they're simple to prepare, they're easy to store, and they can be inexpensive. In a real emergency situation, 20 pounds of rice and 20 pounds of beans could feed one person for an entire month. 1 pound of beans equals 1,600 calories. 1 pound of rice also has 1,600 calories. If you plan for an average adult to need 2,000 calories per day, 20 pounds of rice and 20 pounds of beans are going to more than equal the amount of food you would need in a month. Your 2,000 calories per day times 30 days in a month is 60,000 calories. Do some simple math. This 1,600 calories times 20 pounds of rice and 20 pounds of beans is going to give you that correct amount of calorie count in your food. Beans and rice are also going to be a great way to pack in some carbohydrates and some protein. Is that the optimum meal that you want to eat every single day? Well, of course, the answer is no. But if you had nothing else to eat, would you be happy to have a pot of rice and beans? Stock them up, 1 bag at a time. Then little by little, you can grow your food storage so that you have enough food. Stored properly, rice and beans can last for 30 years or even longer, but you need to make sure that you store them in a cool, dry place. You need to seal them up in an airtight container. It can be as simple as sealing them into a jar. You can use the metal lids and rings as is, but it's better if you add an oxygen absorber, or if you have the food saver, to use the attachment that vacuum seals the jars with the food saver attachment. But sealing them in the jars is a very good start to keeping the air out. Some people like to store rice and beans in food grade buckets. You do need to check and make sure that your lid has the rubber gasket inner seal. That's what's going to seal it up so that it's airtight. If it doesn't have the rubber gasket, it's not good for storing food. You can just store the food in the bucket with a tight fitting lid, and that'll store it for a long period of time. But a better way would be to get the Mylar pouches and seal it in a Mylar bag, where you add an oxygen absorber and seal up the Mylar bag. Another way to get the longest life out of your rice and beans is to buy them already sealed in a number 10 can. If you buy them in the number 10 cans, they have about 5 pounds of food sealed up to last for 30 years. Decide for yourself, how much rice and beans would it take so you had enough? If things go bad in the world, that's a cheap way to have a bountiful supply of food so you can feed your family. We never know what's coming. That's why we need to stock up as we go. Make sure you're buying foods you'll actually eat and then rotate them. Incorporate these kind of foods in your day-to-day menu plans. Doesn't mean eat rice and beans every day. It's also important to stock up on canned goods, packaged goods, things you can just open and eat that are ready prepared meals. Short-term emergencies, you want to go to your pantry and eat the everyday common foods that you're used to eating. Rice and beans require a lot of water for preparation. These are all dried foods, that's why they last such a long time. So for every jar, can, or bucket of rice and beans that you stockpile, make sure you're storing water. Then you'll have the things you need no matter what comes along. Learn more at alaskagranny.com. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.